Welcome to the Mars region. Woohoo! Mars is an 80% CBDM region. It is so nice to see that every NA area on Mars is represented today. All trusted servants are also here. They also can vote if we ever come to that. We have completed most business today, and we are now on new business. Next slide, please. And I apologize for the mix-up of the PowerPoints. Several topics and proposals have been raised for new business. A new virtual area is seeking to join the Mars region. Laura M will be presenting that one, and I didn't add names to the other ones. Add donation link to the Mars website. Our treasurer, Bruce S, will be talking about that. And then should the Interplanetary Zonal Forum, or really just the Mars region and the Jupiter region, coordinate and collaborate. So those are the three topics we have today. Next slide, please. So our home on Mars virtual area. Laura, would you like to let me unmute Laura, and she will present, and please unmute Kelly as well. Okay, Laura, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Laura, and I'm a recovering addict and RCM from the area of Our Home on Mars. And our home on, I would like to present the following topic. Our home on Mars is a virtual area that would like to join Mars region of NA. Our home on Mars has been attending the monthly Mars region for the past 3 months. And we've been collecting a 7th tradition for the past 2 months. And we've also made a donation to Mars region. We have also set up our own electronic financial account to make the 7th tradition a little bit easier. We do have our online meeting source through an online platform. Our home on Mars has 14 meetings in our area, and we have 2 meetings per day. And we finally passed our policy, filling all positions. Positions for chair, co-chair, RCM, treasurer, secretary, H&I chair, and PR chair. So we're very fortunate.
Okay, thank you so much, Laura. So we've got a proposal from an area that wants, a virtual area that wants to join the Mars region. Dennis is going to help me with the hands. Let me just get a temperature check of the body. Does anyone oppose this? Do we have, is someone raising their hand? Oh, Kelly.
Yep.
Kelly, why don't you go ahead and share your concern?
Hi, Kelly Addict, RCM for the CVMA NA area here in Mars. One of the poorest areas in Mars. We can't afford color cameras or appropriate lighting. First off, it's important to understand, everybody accept and realize that it was the discovery in our area of unobtainium that allowed for FTL communication to be a reality, right? So without FTL communication, I don't think we would be here today. Members in my area have some major concerns about this. We believe that a majority of the people attending these virtual meetings are Earth breathers, or air breathers from Earth, okay? And this is going to upset some people. You're not going to like to hear that, but this needs to be put out, right? We all know Laura's sponsor is on the Interplanetary Board of Directors, okay? And we all know that the Board of Directors for Interplanetary Services is opposed to the idea of the motion that we're working on for Mars to become its own world service. We're the first one, right? And we've been working on this, and the Board of Directors are opposed to this, right? And so we think what's happening with this motion is that this isn't going to be the first virtual area. There's going to be more virtual areas that are going to be starting up and popping up on Mars. And all of a sudden, in about a year, we're going to have more virtual areas with, members that are going to be overriding the conscious decision of what's in the best interest of Mars. Okay. The CVM area, right? We are second generation pure born Martians, right? And we all know that Laura spends most of her time in the space station above Mars with Earth gravity and Earth restaurants and Earth food, right? She's enjoying all that the comfort of living, right? But we think that this is going to be a catastrophic bad decision for our region. Is not going to be the interest of what's in the best interest of Mars.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. I should point out that what I needed to do before introducing Kelly is, does anybody have any questions or comments to Laura as well? And also, now that Kelly has expressed his concerns, show of hands, please. Dennis will watch the hands. Anybody wishes to comment on this? Pretend you're on Mars and you all have a voice. Who would like to comment on this? Laura, I see Laura. Laura B.
Hi, I have a question. Is this, by the way, I'm Laura, I'm an addict. Is this a first request for a virtual area to join the Mars region?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Oh, Rick M.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rick M. Griff, covering addict. I hope this doesn't seem too much of a stupid question, but this is the first time with you guys, and I'm wondering, what is Mars? What does it stand for?
Thank you for the question. Great question. We're actually on the planet of Mars, and this is a bring your own rocket ship presentation. So we are in a mock region on Mars. Anyway, Kelly, you got your hand up?
Yeah, we have a question. The positions that were filled in your virtual area, how many of them are Earth air breathers?
Well, I'm not sure that's the most important thing to consider. It's, all we have to have is a desire not to use drugs to belong, and to be present in the group. All we need is willingness, and it doesn't differentiate whether we're from one planet or another. We all belong when we,
So you don't want to answer the question.
It's not for me to answer.
Okay. We do have a question from Mark. Mark, please unmute yourself and give us your question.
I'm Mark. I am an addict and a member at large from outer space. And I would like to know from Laura what it is that their area can add to this region.
Was that a question? The internet kind of went in and out.
Yeah, the question is, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. The question is what can your area bring to our region that it doesn't already have?
What can the area bring? Well, we're asking to be part of the region. From my understanding, aren't we an upside down pyramid?
Yes.
So we're requesting to be part of the region, for our service structure, but we're requesting to be part of this region. We can go be part of another region if you don't want us. But...
Saturn's always looking.
Okay.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Mark? Okay, we've got hands from Cindy, followed by Claudia. And Ernest.
Hi, addict named Cindy, member at. So I just have a couple questions. One, does our region have a policy that says virtual areas cannot be included? and also to the area. What made you want to, or what made you pick our region to be a part of? And do you plan on ever having any face-to-face meetings? And do you know, or can you tell me how long your meetings have been occurring?
Okay, let me answer the first part of that question. We do not have a policy on this. This is the first time it has been brought up. All right, Laura, answer the question. And by the way, after this question, I'm going to just do a quick straw poll to see where people are on it. Okay. So Claudia and Ernest, if we continue discussion, we'll take your questions in a moment. Go ahead, Laura.
Okay, so it was group conscience to choose Mars. And so it was the group's decision.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then what was the other question?
How long have you been having meetings?
We've been having meetings for the last 3 months.
Okay. And of course, you know, the pandemic at Mars has affected Mars very quickly, as it has the other parts of the galaxy. Let's just do a quick, does anyone object, aside from Kelly, to this, no, Kelly can include, to allowing this virtual area to join the Mars region? Raise your hand if you object. I have Lee is objecting. And I see only 2 objections. So we do have consensus. Kelly, you're the only one. Can you stand aside? This is not a consensus 100%, but yeah. So this does pass, and I just want to thank you all for working with us on this. So we now have a new virtual area on Mars. Congratulations. So
What?
I know, I'm sorry, but you did have an opportunity to be heard and listened to, and sorry about that.
So we formed an area without having policy,
Yes.
as the intergalactic board of directors planned.
Well, you know, unfortunately, people, you know, are okay with it. So
Of course, because, you know.
I know. So let's move on to the next topic, please. Thank you, Kelly. You filled your acting role perfectly. So next thing I'd like to turn over to our treasurer, Bruce S. But I do want to stand aside just to explain what this is. This is what we call a topic. So Bruce is going to propose, as the treasurer, no, he's not going to propose, he's just going to suggest, do we want to set up a virtual donation? And in a typical service body, this would be part of an open forum. But in consensus-based decision-making, you can incorporate the open forums into your new business. And if a proposal emerges from the discussion, you can act on it right away. That makes sense. So let's turn it over now to Bruce, our treasurer. Can someone please unmute you, Bruce? Bruce S. No.
I'm Bruce. I'm an addict.
Hey, Bruce.
I'm also treasurer of the Mars region. And one thing that hasn't changed when we set up Mars is that the treasurer tends to still be financially oriented. So let me jump in and discuss some of this topic without some of the other discussions that were taking place. We're having difficulty in terms of 7th tradition donations. They've become more difficult. It's more difficult to organize. Some members do in fact have access to the new ramjet computers, allowing them to make easy donations through the various means, survivors of PayPal and Venmo. But other members used to use cash at at face-to-face meetings and or cash equivalents. And without as many face-to-face meetings, we're having difficulty raising money in terms of civic tradition donations. Our expenses have continued. And I'll give an example of this in a moment. And in fact, many of our expenses have increased, and yet donations continue to decrease. Now there's so many literature sales in the past were made that now are free downloads, and we're just having a hard time. Let me finally just give you an example of this, and you can look at what I'm talking about. Pre-COVID donations for the last quarter of 2019, for the 3-month period ending December 31st, 2019, there were approximately $10,000 averaging each month. This year, for the quarter that just ended 12/31/2020, that 10,000 decreased to 7,000, 30% decrease. Without some means of setting up a more easily accessed way for our members to make seventh tradition donations, we will continue to have difficulty, and we perhaps will have to cut back certain services or efforts to expand our reach. So one of the topics that was raised today was, can we set up a virtual donation mechanism on the website? And that's the topic I bring up today.
Hey, thanks, Bruce. So show of hands, what do you think? Anybody have any comments on this? Kelly, would you like to share something?
Yes. Do we have policy that deals with virtual donations?
No, we don't, but we are.
So we're just gonna abandon that too when we approve this.
Yeah, why not? No, we are. Does anybody? Good question. We don't have policy on this. This is of course a new thing. Would anybody else like to ask to raise a point on this?
I have a question, Louis.
Yes.
My question is, have we found out or done the research on the mechanism, how much the mechanism is going to take from each donation?
No, we haven't. This is really just the first inkling of an idea. And the question is, should we continue it or not? Ernest, someone unmute Ernest. There it is. Go ahead, Ernest. Hey, Ernest.
So my question is the vote just strictly to determine if there's to be a virtual donation mechanism on the website, and not to determine any of the logistics as far as security of setting up that mechanism?
I'm Bruce, I'm an addict. I'll be happy to fill in to answer that, Ernest. That's
if I
important
hear a
question.
lot of opposition to it, then we could take a vote. What do you? Thanks, Ernest. Good question. Anybody else?
We lost your first half of that entirely.
Oh my goodness. What is the matter?
If you could re-answer the question.
Okay, so the question is, so yeah, this is an example of just a topic. You know, the treasurer has told us that we are having reduced donations, that we need more. Should we do is there support or opposition or whatever to setting up a virtual thing? We've already heard one person doesn't like the idea. Any other comments, Cindy?
Yeah, I like the idea, but I would be hesitant to move forward until I had more information. So I'd like to make a suggestion that the treasurer bring back to the next meeting a written proposal with the with the cost involved and what kind of additions would need to be made to the policy.
All right, that the proposal has emerged that we would like the treasurer to get more information. I've got Anetta and then Ernest. Anetta, go ahead, please.
Hi, my name is Anetta and I'm an addict, recovering addict. Hi, Mary Ann. So all around the world is having, I don't know, I got this flyer pulled up in the speaker jam. How you doing? And so once I came in, I just supported. I host a virtual meeting, and I host a virtual meeting. One was a existing meeting before COVID took, and then one came out virtually. But all around the world, people are having 7 traditions donations as a problem, because even the groups that I host, we all have the same problem. You know what I'm saying? So what would be the intent to put it on y'all website? What would be y'all, I don't understand. I know that this might be a region meeting or whatever too. So I qualify to be here because I'm an addict.
Thanks so much, Anetta. Let me just clarify. We are in the middle of a workshop, a service workshop, and you are at the Mars region, and our treasurer for the Mars region has just suggested that maybe we want to put something on the Mars region website, meaning the planet Mars, if that makes sense. And so yeah, I hope I answered your question. Let's see, I got Ernest and Carlos. Ernest, I'm gonna.
Again, my name's Ernest, I'm an addict. I don't think my question was actually answered.
Okay.
My question was, is the vote taking place strictly to determine whether or not to put a donation mechanism on the website? Is that strictly to vote? Or if that vote is up or down, then we will determine the logistics of that.
So the current proposal on the floor, which Cindy really raised, is that we tell the treasurer to bring a specific proposal at the next region. And it doesn't say yes or no for sure, but it does say we want more information. And he will then present something specific at the next region. So that's what we're discussing right now. Is that something you agree with, to have him do that?
I agree with him doing that.
Okay, great.
However, the way this is written, I don't think it's ready for a vote.
And so really what we're just asking is, you know, do you want him to continue considering, is what it's really saying. And yeah, when you do consensus-based decision-making, sometimes wording gets changed a little bit. And if I had better, you know, usually in person, we could actually write the actual words down. So Carlos, you had something you wanted to raise?
Yes, I'm Carlos. I'm an addict from Mars, also the red area in Mars. I think it's very reasonable that before we set up as a policy to wait to study, but we need money for the sponsorship behind the walls committee for stamps. We need money for our phone line, for our website. So why don't we set this up? We let the treasurer set this up in an experimental way until the next region. And then we make a decision. Then we will have more information on how it worked during this time. Wouldn't that be a possibility?
Well, that could be a possibility. Thiago, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I'm Thiago and I'm an addict. I would just like to ask, are there any means to be able to identify if only members are donating through this virtual donation mechanism, or would it just be?
I'm sorry, you're not. I'm not hearing you very well. Say that again, please.
Can you hear me now?
Not really. A little louder.
I think he's asking if it's possible to see individuals, identify individuals that are donating individually. Is that correct?
Oh, okay. Yes. And
Can you hear me now?
and I think the answer really is that depends on what we eventually set up if we do set something up. And that surely is a consideration. And any other points we want to make? So right now we've got one proposal to have Bruce give us more information, and then we have another proposal to maybe test something out between now and region. So let's first discuss, take a little vote. Does anybody object to us having our treasurer provide us a proposal to do this at the next region? Laura, you have your hand up. You okay?
Yeah.
You object?
No, I had my hand up before you were going there.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's see. Does anyone object? Raise your hand if you object. Okay, Kelly, you're objecting?
Yes.
Prize.
We believe that because donations are not autonomous, that individuals will be identified as being more generous than others, and those members that are more generous than others, probably now from Earth, will be given special treatment.
Okay, there is that concern expressed. Is there a reason, Kelly, that Bruce can't come back with a proposal and then we can consider that when discussing it next month, or do you want it to halt altogether?
I think we should halt it altogether. There's no way to work around identifying individuals as donors to the fellowship.
Okay, Laura, you had a comment, and then Cindy.
Yeah, I'm Laura and I'm an addict. I think there's two parts here. One is to vote on the necessity of it, and the other is to decide which one if it passes. So maybe decide whether it's a necessity, and then we can discuss which one after, if the group is okay with it.
And frankly, that's really what the vote, means as to whether you want Bruce to bring a proposal. If it's not necessary, vote no, right? So Cindy, you have your hand up?
Yes, I would just like to for us to remember too that people used to write checks to make donations, and we would know who that money came from. And just because the treasurer knows maybe whose account it came from doesn't mean that that needs to be reported. And it would also be a way for areas to be able to contribute also and make it easier for them. And that there could be a place to donate, which could be available on the website for members only that could access that instead of just open to the public.
Okay, Kelly, you wanted to say something again, or are you all right?
Oh, yes, I believe that this is a money matter and that this should go back to my groups. I need to stop being a dick. I'm channeling the worst of us.
Good point. I'm hearing consensus, except from one person, to actually get a proposal. And in the meantime, bring it up to your areas.
What am I bringing up to my area?
Bring up to the areas that region is considering putting on a virtual donation thing on our website. And so
thing that they're gonna take my head off if I say thing.
Mechanism.
I'm sorry. Go a mechanism. Yeah.
They're gonna throw me out of the airlock.
Oh,
half of them fail here. I mean, we're not like you guys.
Well, I'm not hearing any agreement with that point of view on this, and I'm hearing consensus to at least go forward. Now, there was a second suggestion from Carlos. Do we want to test something out between now and then? What do y'all think?
I still need to take it back to my group. The groups make the decision here, not us.
Okay. Anybody else? Any agreement that Bruce test something first, or?
Dennis can't vote. What are you voting for, Dennis? Put your hand
Dennis, who has a hand up?
You're an earth
Can't raise
breather.
my hand. I don't have, with everything I'm doing, I don't have the option.
Go ahead, jump in.
So I was going to suggest since we hear that it needs to go back anyways for more information, because there's a few that aren't comfortable making a decision now for lack of having group conscience or lack of information on specifics. And there's also a suggestion of something to try out. Would it be possible to ask the treasurer to create a private demonstration not publicly listed on the website for the RCMs to have access to and test out and present to their areas as, here's something what it might look like, bring up your questions and concerns at the next one when we actually have more specifics, and not make it publicly accessible to anyone outside of this body? Would that be possible?
That's, an idea, so that we can at least, you can then take the concept back to your areas and then back to your groups. And then in the meantime, we can have a trial that you can examine that is not open to the public. Is that what you're saying, Dennis? Okay. That's a reasonable outcome. Kelly, what do you think?
My hands are tied, right? I can't make a decision without the input from my groups, and my groups.
All right. Well,
my groups are unaware of any of this discussion.
So I think it's
are
clear.
Unaware of any prototype that's being built, and they're not going to be happy that we're making these decisions without their.
So the point has been made that it needs to go back to the group. So let's do that. In the meantime, Bruce, is it okay if you come up with something that we can just let people see as an example, so that when the areas consider it, they can see what we're doing, and we won't make a decision now, but yeah.
Why don't I have 3 different alternatives
Okay.
that might be more acceptable rather than just one? But certainly we have to do something. 30% decrease. That makes me very, very nervous about continuing to finance ongoing operations.
Okay.
Period.
Okay. Well, we've got a reasonable outcome that does go back to the areas and groups. So does anyone disagree with that? Okay, so we accept that. Now we have a little more time for a third topic. Thank you so much, Bruce. Thank you everyone for participating here. So now we've got a request from our RD. Should we collaborate with the Jupiter region? And we've got about 5 minutes to do this. So go ahead, Patty, you're up.
I'm an addict named Patty. I'm the RD for the Mars region. So I was contacted by org from Jupiter and the Jupiter region, and they would like to do some collaboration, like do a service symposium or, do something like that. I was asked if I would bring this body and see what y'all thought.
Thank you, Patty. Does anybody have any questions for Patty or comments? Cindy.
Well, that's just a little broad on what I can bring back to my groups. I'm the RCM, and if I bring this back, collaboration, what does that mean? And how much is it going to cost? Is that going to cost our region some money? Are we talking about moving forward and doing some service projects already? And what would those be? And how are we going to collaborate with them? Are we going to meet face to face? Are they going to want to meet in person? And who can participate in that? And what would this consist of? I'm very confused on what you're asking.
Patty, do you want to respond?
Sure. So they basically want to start by sharing information, see what us guys do, what they do, and figure out if there's any way we can come together, make a proposal to do some service stuff together. But just basically, do we want to even talk to them about anything? So it's really broad because it's really broad.
Okay. I see Kelly has his hand up, but Carlos says, I'm going to go to Carlos first, if you don't mind, Kelly. Go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah, I'm in favor so long as they include us in the decisions. The Jupiterians, they always present something already fixed, already decided. They just want to share the expenses. I would agree if they agree that we participate in creating whatever activity it is, and not just being there for their own event. You know, the Jupiterians, we have to be careful about how they present things to us.
Thanks, Carlos. Kelly, what do you got?
Kelly Addict, CBMA, NA area. It's no secret, right? I shouldn't even have to say this, right? But it's just needs to be out there that, you know, we all know the Jupiter region are still on the 8th edition, right? And we all know that the latest edition of our fellowship space at Tex is the 11th. And these pretentious pricks, you know, are not refusing to be on the same literature level that the rest of us. And so, yeah, my area would just absolutely lose their shit if these guys started to show up and wanted to hang out.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. And just for everybody's information, Kelly's area is the central Valley Marineris area of Mars. And if anybody knows Mars geography, Valley Marineris is probably the largest canyon in the solar system.
And the poorest.
Otherwise known as the contrarian area.
Contrarian area, yes.
I thought he was from the planet Anus.
Okay. So we've just about, we run out of time with that.
I'll call you back.
End the discussion here.